Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to a brand new Stone Cold Hockey campaign. We're doing the 1967-68 season, the first season that the NHL expanded to 12 teams from its original six, which had been around since the 1940s. So after 25 years of six teams, just six teams, the NHL decided to expand because the fact that they were not getting much TV revenue and they weren't getting much reach. Baseball had a lot of teams. Baseball had 16 teams from 1901 to 1960. Basketball had like nine teams for a long time, and then they expanded, and then football expanded with the AFL, of course, but the NFL had like 12 teams. Regardless of that, six new teams were introduced in Los Angeles, Philly, Oakland, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and St. Louis. So the NHL wanted to go to California because, baseball went to California, football went to California, basketball went to California. So LA and Oakland were at it just for the presence of California action. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh were big because, there were big minor hockey affiliations in Pennsylvania. Minnesota was picked because it was the state of hockey still in the 1960s. And St. Louis was added because of the fact that the Solomon, that the Norris family bought the Blackhawks owners bought the St. Louis arena and practically, wanted and strong armed St. Louis into getting an NHL team. They had to fix St. Louis arena up, which they did, and all that. Yeah, it's kind of complicated. People thought that Baltimore should have been given a chance, or a few other cities like Vancouver or Buffalo, because they had bids to be part of the great expansion, and St. Louis didn't have any ownership group or any interest in it. It's kind of complicated. Anyway, they put the six new teams in the West and the six new teams in the East, in the six original six teams in the East, meaning that the top four teams from the East and the top four of the West would battle. There would be an East versus West champion, meaning that one of the expansion teams would get to the final. And of course, that was the last time that an expansion team made the final till Vegas in 2018. Nevertheless, we have 12 matches. We are going to actually do the St. Louis Blues. The reason why we're doing St. Louis as the main focus of the 1968 season is because the St. Louis Blues were that team that won the expansion derby, if they will. And, it'd be nice to see how good St. Louis was. So we're going to do all the St. Louis games, but with pressure because I'm not really doing much of a. We're going to speed this a little bit in 1968 that if the St. Louis Blues do lose a game, then the next game must be simulated or tied because I don't like ties. So anyway, no games around. So our first game is a 5 game schedule, which saw many debuts. Detroit, Boston took part day one, and Boston wins 4-1 as Gary Cheevers beat that can't be Don Edwards, Al Edwards. Detroit only goal was by Gary Jarrett. Boston goes by Derek Sanderson, Ed Westfall, Phil Esposito, and Ted Green. And did I mention that the Bruins made one of the biggest lopsided trades of all time in 1967 when they picked up a young Phil Esposito, who the Blackhawks gave up because he was so lazy, to Boston for the one of Pitt Martin and a few other players. Boston beats Detroit. Rangers Chicago sees the Rangers win 2-1 as Jackman beats Danny DeShorty. Chicago got to go by Stan Mikita, but goals by Rasha Bear and Sean Rattel. Two great Rangers of the past happened. So it was 2-1 Rangers. Philadelphia, Oakland, two expansion teams, and it's a tie 2-2 as Bertie Perrant and Charlie Hodge picked up points. Hodge was former Montreal goalie, and Perrant was property of the Boston Bruins, if you must know, because they had the expansion draft and they had to pick two goalies from the expansion teams, from the established teams. Oakland was up 2-0 on goals by Bredeman and Kent Douglas, the former Leaf, but John Govier and Forbes Kennedy, yes, that Forbes Kennedy, who went on to play for the Leafs and get himself in deep trouble in the 1969 playoffs, scored to tie the game. Montreal, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh loses their first game 3-1 as Rogie Fachon, yeah, he was in Montreal, beat Hank Basson. Pittsburgh did score the first goal of the game. Gene Ubrico. And in the second period, no goals, but Montreal 3 goals in the third. Claude Rose and then Dick Duff with a pair of goals for Montreal. Now we're playing the Minnesota North Stars. Our first game ever. We have Glenn Hall in the nets against Gary Bauman. This is a different setup. I know a lot of people say that Glenn Hall and Jacques Plante were the star goalies for St. Louis, but Jacques Plante actually went into, I believe, a retirement or something. So he wasn't around the NHL at that time. But yeah, in the 1967-68 season. So Glenn Hall, Mr. Goalie, one of the greatest goalies of all time, left Chicago. Chicago decided to keep, wasn't Tony Esposito because he wasn't a Hawk yet. They decided to keep, I forget who Chicago decided to keep. It wasn't Deschorty. Oh yeah, Deschorty. They decided to go with Deschorty more than Glenn Hall, and St. Louis snatched him up. Seth Martin, who was a legend in the 1960s for Canada's World Championships team, the Trail Smoke Eaters, back when they had senior competitions to see who would go to the World Championships representing their country, and Don Cayley. The Minnesota North Stars starting goalie was Cesar Menego, who was a decent goalie. Gary Bauman, the backup. Carl Wetzel, the former Red Wing goalie, who Detroit did not want to put into a game for the 64-65 season, not in real life, but in simulation. So Wetzel's the third string goalie. Minnesota has Wayne Connolly, Ray Cullen, Parker McDonald, Andre Boudreau, Dave Fallon, former Hab, Mike McMahon, Bill Goldsworthy from Waterloo, J.B. Perez, who would be better known as an Islander star, who was in former Hab, Bill Collins, Bob Oilewich, remember from Boston from the previous 64-65 Let's Play, Milan Marciano, Bill Masterton, yeah, that guy. I don't know if they let him play the whole season or not. Bob McCord, Sandy Fitzpatrick, Ted Taylor, Ray Hall, Moose Vasco. He left Chicago to join the North Stars. Bronco Horvat, he was around for many years. He had 5 out of 6 original 6 teams playing for it. Duke Harris, Pete Gogan, Bob Charlebois, Bill Plager, not Barclay, Ted McCaskill, Len Lund, and Lou Nanny, who would soon be GM coach of the North Stars back in the day. So the St. Louis Blues, no Red Berenson. He was not actually a Blue at the time. So these go true to form with the rosters from day to day. So the Blues don't have Red Berenson yet. They will soon. Anyway, Frank Marcel, Gary Melnick, Jimmy Roberts, the former Hab, Bill McCurry, who would later become an official, Gary Sabourin, Larry Keenan, no relation to Mike Keenan, Terry Crisp, future head coach and Stanley Cup winner with the Flyers, Don McKenney, who was the other player traded when the Rangers traded Bathgate to the Leafs in 1964. So Don McKenney, you saw him from the 64-65 Let's Play of the Leafs. Ron Schock, who was the Bruin, and then I said, well, watch on 1968 because he would be good. Ron Stewart, the former Leaf of the 65 campaign, now he's a Blue. Craig Cameron, Tim Ecclestone, Barclay Plager, Dickie Moore, former Hab and Leaf, now a Blue. Wayne Rivers, Fred Huckel, Bob Plager. Yeah, Barclay and Bob on one team, Bill on the other. The Picards, Roger and Noel Picard, 1970, tripping up Bobby Orr. Al Arbor, the future Islanders longtime coach. He was a player for the Blues and he wore glasses while playing. Ron Atwell, Neil Baudouin, Jean-Guy Talbot with his sweatsuits as coach of the Rangers later on, and Ray Fortin. So here we go. First minute, a battle, double hit. 5 minutes later, a battle, we get two. Of course, a man with glasses would get the first penalty. Where's our skill? You're fired. Mike McMahon, his goal from Wayne Connolly, the former Bruin, 1-0 Stars. 3 minutes later, battle. McMahon for 2 minutes. I don't know what he's like as a referee, but he's a player. Bill McCurry, Jean-Guy Talbot, and that's our first goal in the NHL. Bill McCurry, write it down. 2 minutes later. Action by McClure, no. Another 2 minutes later. Aggression. Hit by Coco, and he's gone for 2 minutes. And Parker McDonald cannot make the play. Scored the goal. Run. Yeah, it's 2-1. Yeah, St. Marcel McKinney got the assist. Yeah, he scored the goal. I do run. I do run. And the Blues are 2-1. We're up 2-1. In real life, we were 27, 31, and 16. Can't believe we were 500 yet went to the Stanley Cup. Of course, I'm saying in the prerogative with the Blues. There's a fight. It's Taylor and Stewart. Of course, Ron Stewart would have to fight Ted Taylor. Nothing much happens. Battle, split, aggression. Mojo Kudria for 5 minutes for boarding. We have a 5-minute power play. Keenan couldn't get the shot. Segment killed. Okay. Pascal Shardy. Bill Goldsworthy doing the Goldie Shuffle from Waterloo, Ontario, close to where I live. Says by Ted McCaskill. I keep thinking Ted McCaskill was he that union rep? Oh no, that's Ted Saskin. Sorry. And somehow Minnesota killed that 5-minute power. And the Blues get penalized. We get Roddy Stewart again. Starsky or power play goal. Ray Cullen. Ray of Sunshine. From Boudreaux and Billy Collins. Ray Cullen. Is he John Cullen's father? I don't know. 6 minutes later. Action. Mercury. No. Picard just had to take a 2-minute penalty. Oh shoot. Which Picard? I forgot. There's 2 of us. There's 2 of them. Oh, no Picard. I know. Roger Picard. Will Minnesota take advantage? No shot by Collins. No shot by Parker. Brothers are a battle. Wojciech. Bordeaux. Chance. Ecclestone. Fuck. 2 minutes later. Chance for McKenny. No. Much later. No Kelly on those stars. Ray Cullen. Bye. Jerry Melnick. What a Melnick. Scores from McKinney and St. Marcel, who have 2 assists tonight. 3-3 tie. Oh, crap. I forgot. I think we are tied. That's it. That's the game. Hall and Ballman did their jobs. And we don't have overtime because the rules are no regular season overtimes. So it's like, shit. Yeah, that was shit. Blues tied the North Stars 3-3. And of course, no regular season overtime until 1983. Nevertheless, Bauman and Hall got point each. North Stars goals by McMahon, Goldsworthy, and Cullen. Our goals, McCreary, Stewart, and Melnick. So yeah, lots of things. Boudreaux's got a 5-minute penalty. We couldn't capitalize. Fuck. So regardless of that, yeah, it was a tie. Guess what? You know the rule. So we're gonna skip it. The next game. No game on Thursday. No, Friday the 13th. We host Pittsburgh and beat them 3-0 without my help. Seth Martin, the smoke eater, as we call him, with a shutout over Les Binkley, St. Marcel, Savarin, and Ron Stewart were the goal scorers for the Blues. Saturday night, and it's all right. So we had to Pittsburgh. So we skipped Pittsburgh, but we're gonna play Pittsburgh one more time. Here, what's the clock? 13 minutes. Okay, we have some time for a few more games. All right, so Philly, Los Angeles, tied at 3. LA's first game in the NHL. Perron and Sawchuk getting points each. Sawchuk, the former Leaf goalie, who was tandem with Bauer, but the Leafs needed to keep Bauer. Philly goals by Brett Selby, the former Leaf Calder Trophy winner. Gary Dornhofer and Andre Lacroix, who would be better known in the WHA. LA goals by Don Amadio and then Brian Campbell with a pair of goals. Detroit, Montreal gagne 5-3. Fashon beats Edwards. Detroit goes by Roberts, and Ullman. Dave Roberts? I don't know, but yeah. Normie Ullman's there too. Montreal goes by Dick Duff with the first period hat trick. Then John Ferguson and Pocket Rocket. Figure we got score. So Dick Duff has 5 goals in 2 games. Yikes. Why did the Leafs ever get rid of him? Minnesota, Oakland saw a tie 2-2. Bellman and Hodge with a tie. Minnesota goes by Cullen and McMahon. Oakland goes by 2 goals by Billy Harris. Chicago, Toronto, the first game in Leafs season, they win 3-1 as Bruce Gamble, the backup, now that Sarchuk's gone, beats Dave Dryden, older brother of Ken Dryden. Chicago only goal was by the Golden Jet Bobby Hall, sorry. Bob Pulfer, Ron Ellis, and Jim Papan scoring for the Leafy Dudes. So now let's head to Pittsburgh. And we have Seth Martin back in that against Hank Basson. So we decided to go back to Martin. Pittsburgh had Ab McDonald. I can't remember. I think he was a Red Wing. I can't remember where Ab McDonald came from. Andy Bathgate, the former Leaf and Ranger, now in Pittsburgh. Ooh, boy. Junior Bricko, Art Stratton, Billy Date, Earl Inglefield, former Ranger, of the 65 playthrough, Ken Schenkel, Keith McCurry, Paul Andrea, Leo Boivine, former Bruin, Bob Dillenbow, George Kunick, Val Fontaine, known for his Mr. Clean personality, Noel Price. Look at Fontaine's stuff. 5 years without a penalty. Noel Price, Bob Riffard, Bill Spear, Alan McNeil, the former defenseman for the Hawks and the Penguins, and head coach of the 1971 Habs, rest in peace. Dick Matuzzi, Doug McCallum, Mal Pearson, and Ted Lanyon. Of course, our biggest thing is no Red Berenson, but he was traded in, I think, November. Battle in the first delivers a hit, but no penalty. 2 minutes later, a chance for Billy D. No. 2 minutes later, Gresham. McCallum off for 2. Power play ski. Oh, power play goal. Roger that. Roger Picard, his first from Samarin and Bobby Plaker, makes it 1-0 Blues. 5 minutes later, another chance. Marseille. Oh, Frankie Marseille had it. 6 minutes later. Oh, fill up the bathwater. It's Bathgate. Any Bathgate, that is. A goal from Keith McCreary. We are tighties at 1. We have a chance, Keaton? Nope. Last moments of the first period. Atwell gets hit, and it's 1-1 after 1 for us. Early on, chance for Marseille. St. Marseille, no. 5 minutes later, a 6 minutes later, hit. And then this. Marseille, no. And a fight between Plager and Bathgate. Man, we got any Bathgate to fight? Bathgate's not a normal player. So no Bob Plager. So it's 1-1 after 1. I mean 2, excuse me. What am I thinking? Cutter. 2 minutes later. It's now 2-1. Pittsburgh assist by Ubrico and Spear. 6 minutes later, battle. Al McNeil for 2. Arbor, they killed the zone. Fuck. 3 minutes later. Action for Schenkel? No. Much later, an empty net chance. No. Good. That's it from Winfield and Billy Day. Chronic scored. And we lose badly to Pittsburgh, their first NHL win. Seth Martin did not do it. We let him down. We were up 1-0 through 5 minutes, but we couldn't do it. Bathgate, Price, and Connick with the goals, and we lose. So that means we have to skip a few days. The Sunday night, we don't play Montreal, Boston. And Boston wins 4-1. There's Cheever Speech Fashion. Gilles Tremblay scored for Montreal, but Boston 4 straight. Eddie Shack, Phil Esposito, Bobby Orr. That's right. He was not around in 65-66 for Boston. So Eddie Shack, former Leaf. Oh boy. And Johnny the Chief Busick. Toronto at Chicago in the meantime wins 5-2. Bruce Campbell does it again. He beats Dave Dryden. Chicago goals by Doug Moens and Bobby Hall. But Leaf goals by Mike Walton, Murray Oliver. Yeah, former Bruin. Wayne Carlton. I guess the Bruins and Leafs made a trade. Oliver and Carlton. And then Murray Oliver, his second, and George Armstrong finally getting a goal. Rangers Detroit sees the Rangers put Detroit in trouble 3-2 as Jockman beats Edwards. Detroit goes by Norrie Ullman and Gordie Howe. We got enough as Philip Goyette, Reg Fleming, the first NHL star to get CTE, and Bob Nevin, the former Leaf, scoring. Minnesota, LA, and LA wins their first game of the NHL 3-2. Spellman loses to Sawchuk. Minnesota goes by Wayne Connolly and Goldsmurphy doing the goalie shuffle. LA goes by Bill Cowboy Flett, Day Hillroof, and Eddie Joyle. So we go to Wednesday. We are hosting Philadelphia. The Flyers. Seriously, the Flyers. The Flyers. So we host the Flyers. Oh, sorry. We can't play the Flyers. We lost. That's right. We lost. So we can't play the Flyers. Anyway, Boston, Chicago. Boston crushes Chicago. They're 0-4. As Andre Gill beat Jack Norris, the former Bruin goalie. The goalie that sucked in the 64-65 season and only won 1 game for Boston in the playthrough, in the Stone Cold Hockey playthrough. And, well, Boston, Chicago, you know that big trade. Chicago was up 3-0. Stan Mikita with a natural hat trick. but Boston scored 6 straight goals. Ed Westfall, Fred Stanfield, Eddie Shack, Tommy Williams, Glenn Saver. Yes, that guy. And Phil Esposito. Esposito scoring on his former team. Of course it would be that way. I think Stanfield was former Hawk, was he not? Anyway, Montreal Rangers and Rangers Gagne 3-0. Worsley couldn't be Jackman, Khalil, Deal, Henry, Bob Nevin, and Phil Goyette for the Rangers. LA Oakland, and Oakland wins their first game of the season, 4-1. As Charlie Hodge beat Wayne Rutledge, LA goal by Bill White, but Bill Hick, Billy Harris, Jerry Uman, and Wayne Boyler scoring for the Seals. Minnesota Pittsburgh sees Minnesota crush Pittsburgh for their first win of the year. Manico beats Binkley. Pittsburgh only scored one Connick's goal, but Minnesota goes J.P. Perez, Boudreaux, Ron, Ray Collin, Wayne Connolly, Dave Ballin, and then Mike McMahon again. Yeah, we couldn't play the Philly, but we won 1-0. Glenn Hall, there's Glenn Hall. He beats Favel. Terry Crisp with a crisp goal. Detroit Toronto sees the Leafs win 6-3 as Gamble beats Edwards. Detroit goals by Norm Moman, Gordie Howe, and Bruce McGregor. It's going to be a long season for Detroit. Toronto goals by Tim Horton, Jim Papan, Ron Ellis, Bob Holford, and Larry Hillman. So, yeah, Boston at Detroit. Detroit shocks Boston. Their first win, Boston's first loss, 3-2. Crozier beats Cheevers. Detroit goals by Paul Henderson, Normie Ullman, and Dean Prentice. Boston goals by Phil Esposito and Eddie Westfall. Toronto at Montreal. Toronto will lose their first game of the year. As Gamble back in that against Vachon, but Sean Beliveau scored twice, and Dick Duff finally remembered, I have to score. Pittsburgh Phillies out of Pennsylvania sees Philly win their first ever NHL game. Perron beats Basson, and Forbes Kennedy, of all people, with the winning goal. Friday the 20th, nothing. Saturday the 21st. Why do we have it on the 22nd? Do we have a game? We have 2 games, and we play Los Angeles. Let's go to LA. We'll host LA. We'll do the LA game, and then we'll skip on. So Oakland, Minnesota sees Minnesota win 1-0. Manico shut out Wayne Connolly, his 3rd goal. Boston, Montreal, and it's Montreal with a shutout. Andre Gill could not beat Gump Worsley, Russo, LaPerriere, Beliveau, and Danny Grant. I'm surprised he's on the Habs this early. I thought he was on the North Stars, because I know he was a North Star icon. Chicago, Pittsburgh sees Pittsburgh put down Chicago. Detroit loses, so I guess the Hawks should have kept Glenn Hall. They're now 0-5. Dennis Hall, Bobby Hall, Sam Makito scoring for Chicago. Pittsburgh goes by Andy Bathgate, Junior Burkle, Leo Bovin, and Ubrico again. Rangers Toronto sees the Rangers lose their first game. I think they're the last team to lose a game. 4-1, Jackman loses a gamble. Rangers go by Bob Nevin, but the Leafs goes by Mike Walton, Wayne Carlton, Murray Oliver, and Brian Conacher. Remember him? Charlie Conacher's grandson. Anyway, Kings and Blues. So we start Seth Martin against Terry Sawchuk, the legend that carried Toronto throughout the playoffs in the 64-65 playoffs. They have Wayne Rutledge and Jacques Caron in the nets too. So yeah, okay. The Kings lineup: Bill Cowboy Flett, Eddie Joyal, Lowell McDonald, Ted Irving, who would be known for his famous offspring, the wrestler Christian Gordon Boas, Rael Lemieux, Terry Gray, Bill White, great defenseman who played for the 72 Senators, Brian Smith, a great guy after his career, was an Ottawa sportscaster who was killed by a deranged man, Howie Menard, Howie Hughes, Dougie Robinson, the former Ranger, Brian Campbell, Bob Wall, Brett Hughes, Dave Amadeo, Dale Rolfe, known for his defense work, Brian Kilray, who soon became one of the greatest major junior coaches ever with the Ottawa 67s, Jim Anderson, Billy English, Jacques Lemieux, Jim Murray, Mike Corrigan, and Larry Johnson. Here we go. 4 minutes into the game. 5-minute major by Ronnie Schock, of all people. So we have to kill 5 minutes off. And we get another penalty, Plager, one of the Plagers. And that was Bob Plager. We're 2 men short. You knew that was going to happen. Skewer, power play goal. Dale Rolfe, his 2nd. Red Rolfe. He ain't not. Lowell McDonald with the assist. Red Rolfe was a famous Yankee player. Finally, we're back. We only gave up 1 goal on the PK. That's fine. King Scooter! Cowboy up. Bill Flett, his 2nd for Lowell McDonald and Brian Kilray. Who knew he could pass the puck? Last moments of the first period, the Kings started to watch the wall for 2 minutes. He kind of hit the wall. Hopefully, we win this game. But we're down 2-0. Roll and flat. And chance time McKinney. Damn it. And no shot by us. Baronson's still not coming. Penalty, it will be Noel Picard or Robert. I forget which one. Doesn't matter. It doesn't. Oh, our pop-up power play goal. Brian Smith makes it 3-0. Fleck and Rolf with the assist. We're in trouble. 5 minutes later. Eddie Joski, it's 4-0. What happened? Oh, it's Seth Martin in the net. Yeah. Scored. Howie Menard with the assist. We're dead in the water. Takes a 2-minute penalty. We killed the zone though. So Noel's back to the bench. But the Kings are up 4-0. Seth Martin in the net. I'm the proponent of we're fucked. I might as well put Glenn Hall in the net. We're down 4-0. LeBlanc gets hit. 6 minutes later, a fight between Smith and Picard. So Brian Smith and Noel Picard are in the boots. Up to the ice, one of the Plaguers. Boy, we're getting in trouble. We killed a zone on them. Earthquake. Bucks. No freaking offense at all. LA crushes up 4-0. Terry Sachek proving why he was so damn good. And Glenn Hall, 20 minutes, but nothing happened. Rolf Flett, Smith and Joyle with the assists. Anyway, we're in trouble. We're down 4. We lose 4-0. We would not have played Detroit anyway because we took a loss. LA, Chicago. Chicago finally wins a game 3-1 as Dejordy Bisachek. Man, LA brutalized. Hughes with the goals for LA, but Chicago, Stan Mikita, Chico Mackey, it's Chico time, and Pitt Martin, who was a Bruin who was traded to the Hawks. St. Louis Detroit sees, well, we tied Detroit 2-2 as Cayley came in the net and tied. We were up 2-0, goals by Terry Crisp and Plager, but then Hampson and Delvecchio for Detroit. Delvecchio was still playing well. Pittsburgh Rangers, they tied 2-2 as Binkley and Jackman tie. Pittsburgh goes by Valfontaine and Ingerfield, former Rangers. Red Berenson for the Rangers. He wouldn't last long in New York. And Bob Nevin, his fourth. Oakland Philly sees Philly crush Oakland 4-2. Pavel Bitage. Oakland goes by Bill Hick and Charlie Burns. Philly goes by Joe, I don't know which Watson, Jim or Joe Watson, by Watson. Brett Selby, Brian Sutherland, and Bill Sutherland. 23rd, no games. 24th, no games. 25th, we play in Minnesota. We've already played Minnesota, and we did through a tie. We crushed Minnesota 4-0 in Minnesota. Bowman loses. Sabrin, McCreary, Melnick, and Atwell with the goals. And Glenn Hall with the shutout. Chicago Rangers. Chicago shocks the Rangers 1-0. Dale Dryden, the hero. Dennis Hall, the goal. Oakland at Pittsburgh sees Pittsburgh win 4-1 as Basson takes down Suke Smith. Boyer, the only goal for Oakland. Ab McDonald with 2 goals. Eddie Batkin and Phil Fontaine. LA at Toronto sees the Leafs crush it 6-3 as Bauer remembered he's supposed to be number 1, beating Redlich. LA goes by Lowell McDonald, Bill Wall, and Howie Menard. Leaf goes by Pete Stamkowski, the Polish rifle, Larry Hillman, Stamkowski again, Frank Mahovlich, Mike Bolton, and then Ron Ellis. And is that LA Boston? Boston wins 4-1. The Thursday Cheevers beat Redlich. LA go by Lowell McDonald, Espo, Busick, Fred Stanfield, and Tommy Williams scoring the goals. Oakland, Detroit. Detroit shuts out Oakland. Edwards beats Hodge. Hank Edwards, Prentice, Ullman, Howe, and Roberts. Goals. Rangers, Montreal. And the Rangers win 4-2 as Jackman beat Vachon. Montreal goes by Gilles Tremblay and Croix Provo. Harry Howe, the guy who never arrested fouls against for the Rangers. Oren Kronenbach, future Canucks. Captain Sean Rotel, and then Kronenbach. 4-2. Friday, no game. Saturday, we play in Montreal. So we're going to be playing in Montreal next time out. We're 3-2-2. We'll have action gore. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.